Okay guys, please. Okay guys, previously we stopped here, so I think it's better to start. So finally we stopped at cochlear hair cells, their what is their potential, all sort of things we discussed. Now we will discuss something about, we'll just clear it up. We will discuss something about the polarization, depolarization, hyperpolarization. What are all these things? We will discuss it just a little bit, not too much, not too less, a little bit, right? So we will discuss about these things. So here we'll take minus 70, then you get it minus 60, then you take it minus 50, right? And here minus 80, minus 90. Okay, so now let us say like this is the resting membrane potential, that is minus 70. Now if you give stimulus, what happens? Depolarization occurs, so as it moves on. But if it doesn't depolarize sufficiently, ultimately it again comes to the resting membrane state. Now for example, you go up to minus 60, you don't get action potential. You go up to minus 65, you won't get any action potential. But if you go up to 50, right, if you go up to minus 50, this is the point where the depolarization starts, or the the action potential gets generated. So the firing level is minus 50, where the action potential initiates, that is the action potential starts. But if you just drop below minus 50, it will be of less negative, that is less depolarization, so there will be no action potential. So depolarization is a excitatory condition. Remember, depolarization is a excitatory condition. See, this is RMP, this is resting membrane potential. Why most of the people are getting confused right now? This is resting membrane potential, right? Now if you go for hyperpolarization, right, it again comes to resting membrane potential. You go for minus 75, you go for minus 80, still it again comes to the resting membrane potential. That means hyperpolarization is of more negative. That implies it is more of a inhibitory type. It is of more of a inhibitory type, right? So it is hyperpolarization. Now you got hyperpolarization, and if there is more of inhibitory type, that implies it prevents the action potential. So depolarization is of a excitatory type, because what is happening here, the more you go towards the less negative state, ultimately it leads to a point where a firing level occurs, right? A firing level occurs. As the negative value decreases, the depolarization increases. So at one point the firing of the action potential initiates. So that is, here it is at minus 50. So with all this concept, we will differentiate some things. Depolarization, we talk about depolarization. So previously we already discussed depolarization at synapse. It is due to what? Synapse due to neurotransmitter, that is actually a EPSP type condition, that is excitatory post-synaptic potential, causes excitatory post-synaptic potential. But if you speak of hyperpolarization, now what it is of? It is of at synapse due to the neurotransmitter, which is actually a IPSP type, that is inhibitory postsynaptic potential. Now what we have to discuss here? The neurotransmitter at synapse actually bind to the receptor, which leads to opening of ion channels to produce EPSP or IPSP, right? So what actually happens is, the neurotransmitter present at the synapse, it goes and binds to the receptor present on the postsynaptic membrane. So it leads to the opening of the ion channels, which produces either excitatory or inhibitory type of potentials, right? So that is what you should remember. Now coming to sodium channel opening. So what happens is, sodium entry causes depolarization, that is nothing but excitatory postsynaptic potential production. For example, what are those ions? For example, what are those neurotransmitters? Or where you will see it, that is seen in glutamate by NMDA receptor. This is one of the best example for sodium channel opening, which is mainly actually excitatory type of neurotransmitter in CNS. Remember, it occurs in CNS. We studied about NMDA antagonist, N-methyl D-aspartate receptor antagonist, right? So that's one, right? Now coming to the second type of it, what it is all about calcium channel opening. It's about calcium channel opening. Regarding the calcium channel opening, the calcium entry leads to depolarization or excitatory postsynaptic potential. Now, what is the example in this case? In this case, the example is very, very important, that is substance P. Just a minute. That is substance P. So what it does is, it stimulates SG cells of spinal cord. What you are asking about SG? SG means substantia gelatinosa. What this substance P does is, it stimulates the substantia gelatinosa cells of spinal cord. So that implies it leads to first neuron of pain pathway, which causes pain sensation. Now what is this condition called? That is, what is that? Can you name that thing? Algia or algesia or dolor. You got it? Now these are the first neurons of pain pathway, which if initiated causes pain sensation, that is called algia or algesia or dolor. You got it? So I can clear it off, right? I can just clear it off. Okay. Now if you talk about one more ion channel, that is potassium channel opening. potassium channel opening. The potassium channel opening leads, what happens is there is a potassium efflux. Potassium efflux, that is, potassium efflux means hyperpolarization. Why hyperpolarization? Because the potassium efflux, the potassium is going outside, the positive is going outside, that leads to more of a negative charge present in the ICF. That is called hyperpolarization, or more negative charge means IPSP, inhibitory. That is the example that you can give for morphine. The morphine simply inhibits the which cells? Substantia gelatinosa cells, or substantia gelatinosa cells by which receptors? Anyone? Substantia gelatinosa cells by mu opioid receptors. Mu opioid receptors, thereby inhibiting the pain. Inhibiting the pain, which is called as analgesia. Which is called as analgesia. Analgesia means pain. Analgesia means something which is referring to pain. Analgesia means no pain. Hyperalgesia means it's the sensation of pain which is more than the normal limit, right? Which is more than the normal, it's felt more than the actual sensation that you should feel. So that is hyperalgesia, right? Now what about another channel, that is chloride opening channel? Chloride opening channel. If we come to chloride opening channel, what you want to discuss? What happens here is the chloride simply enter to cause something, that is hyperpolarization. Why? What happened? Why? Because chloride is entering, it is not exiting. Chloride is entering. Entering where? Entering into the cell. Entering into the cell, that leads to increase in negativity in the negative charge in the ICF, intracellular fluid, which leads to hyperpolarization, or else it is inhibitory postsynaptic potential. Now if you ask me the example, guys, if you ask me the example, it is very simple, that is glycine. The glycine in spinal cord, why I am writing like this? Spinal cord, what it does is, it simply in spinal cord and GABA in brain, it causes the inhibitory potential. Glycine is the substance which causes the inhibitory potential in the spinal cord, and GABA in brain. Why GABA is a inhibitory neurotransmitter. Glycine is the inhibitory neurotransmitter in spinal cord and brain, right? Now remember one thing, GABA is the main inhibitory neurotransmitter in brain. Remember this always. Either you are asleep, or you are awake, or you are running, you are jogging, you are having fun with girlfriend. Whenever you are asked this question, what is the main inhibitory neurotransmitter in brain? That is GABA. Always remember, it is GABA. GABA means gamma aminobutyric acid. Okay. Now we will discuss something about action potential. Okay. Now, what is the threshold stimulus? What is the threshold stimulus? How much charge can be defined as the threshold stimulus? That is plus 15 millivolts. Now this can cause action potential, but if there is less If there is less stimulus, or if there is a less charge that is being projected, then there will be no action potential. So it should be actually plus 15 millivolts should be the threshold stimulus to produce a action potential. Now this phenomenon, this feature, that is whether it is 15, it will produce. If it is not 15, it will not produce. This is something which is denoted as a famous name called all or none law. Remember this. This is called all or none law. Okay. Now what is the point here? The threshold stimulus is plus 15 millivolts. I'm not writing neatly. Wait. Plus 15 millivolts. Okay. Now the change of resting membrane potential from minus 70 to minus 55. What is meant by the statement? See, if you give a threshold stimulus of plus 15 millivolts, then what will happen? What is the resting membrane potential of neuron? It's minus 70. So if you give a charge or stimulus of plus 15, what is the change of potential that you observe? Plus 15 minus 70, how much you will get? Minus 55. Minus 55 is what? Minus 55 is the level where you will start firing of action potential, because minus 55 is the firing level. So that's why plus 15 millivolts is needed to produce a action potential. So minus 55 is the firing level. What is the firing level or voltage? The firing level or voltage is minus 55 millivolts. Always remember that is the firing level. Now what actually happens during this firing level is, always remember that the voltage gated sodium channels open. As simple as like the voltage gated sodium channels open. That's also called as M gate. Right? Now what happens? Sodium enter. Okay, we will discuss all the phenomenons. Wait, I will just tell here. So threshold stimulus of how much? Plus threshold stimulus of plus 15 millivolts. Then it comes to minus 55 millivolts from minus 70. Then it leads to production of, it is the firing level. So obviously the firing starts. Firing starts by how? How the firing starts? Firing starts by opening of voltage gated sodium channels, or also called as M gate. These voltage gated sodium channels are also called as M gate. Now what happens? The sodium enter. Sodium enter and it causes even more big depolarization. Now why I am saying here big depolarization, even more? Why I am saying? Previously did depolarization occurs? Yes, here depolarization occurred. You observe na? Here depolarization has happened. From where to where? Actually the resting membrane potential is minus 70. So as we were given a stimulus of plus 15 millivolts, it was depolarized from minus 70 to minus 55, where minus 55 is the actual firing level. So that led to opening of sodium gated voltage gated channels. Then it led to entering of sodium ions, and there was a big depolarization occurred up to which level? Up to which voltage level? Up to plus 35. From minus 55 to plus 35 millivolts, the depolarization has occurred. This is something which we call as overshoot, or is there any other name? Spike potential. Very good, Dr. Anita, very good. It is spike potential. Right? Now what happens after this? After this, the sodium channel gate closes. Gate closes. No, yes, the gate closes. No. Why some of the doctors are saying another ion channel open? No, sodium channel gate closes. Remember, so sodium channels closes, that is H gate. H gate, the voltage gated sodium channel open, which is M gate. Here the sodium channel closes, which is H gate. Now when the sodium channel gate closes, then the depolarization is said to be over. Depolarization is over. Now what happened? Now what you say, that is potassium channel gates open. Potassium channel open. Now what happened when potassium channel opened? When potassium channel opens, potassium goes out. Potassium goes out, then obviously it leads to increase of negative charge in the ICF, because potassium is going outside, that is potassium efflux is happening, efflux. So potassium is going outside. So the ICF or the intracellular charge environment becomes negative. That means membrane again goes to resting membrane potential. Goes to resting membrane potential, which we call it as, what is that? Repolarization. You understood? Everyone understood? Please, I am saying please. If you don't understand, raise your hands, no problem. If you don't understand, raise your hand. So that here the action potential starts, here it ends. Okay, please raise your hands if anyone did not understand. It's very simple, very simple. Okay, so we will come to the next topic, that is sodium potassium pump. That is pump. Okay, sodium potassium pump. What a sodium potassium pump does is, it pumps out 3 sodium ions to efflux, that is 3 sodium ions out, and 2 potassium ions in, that is influx, right? Influx occurs. Okay, now to restore ionic equilibrium, what happens is, to restore ionic equilibrium, what happens is, there will be a high concentration of sodium in ECF, always remember, and there will be a high concentration of potassium in ICF. Okay or not? Okay. Why someone is asking, sir, please show the graph, sir, please. What graph should I show? Action potential graph. You want me to show the action potential graph? Arey yaar, I already explained the theory na. Why? See, the graph is not much differ from the theory which I have spoken here. It's the same thing, nothing much big difference. Why are you asking me to show the graph? Okay, fine. No more discussion. We will discuss the graph. Okay. We don't want to waste the time, so we'll discuss the graph as fast as I can. Right. So this is the line, right, and this is the. Let us take like this is the resting membrane. Take it. So this is minus 70 here, and we'll just mark the main points. This is 0. This is plus 35. Right, now we'll just take it like this one here as minus 55. Minus 55 is the firing level point. Okay, remember. Now for example, let us say like a stimulus is initiated, but it did not go up to the firing level, so it again came back to the normal resting membrane. Now this time the stimulus was given strongly, so it went up to the firing level, that is up to minus 55. So there was a large spike from the wait, I will change the color so that you can easily understand. So there will be a large spike. Okay, I will slanted it even more. And after minus 35 it slowly came back. Okay, came back to the resting. Now from here, this is hyperpolarization. Okay, now what are the stages? We will discuss now. We'll discuss with black color. So if you take this small peak, what happened here is the stimulus was given. The stimulus was given, but the stimulus which was given, it has caused a graded potential, and the ligand gated cation channels have opened. Ligand gated cation channels are open. See, I'll write here. Ligand gated cation channels are open. Cation channels open, but it did not produce sufficient stimulus. Okay, please wait.